Now, Simon, I have a feeling we're in for a great educational segment. And I have to ask you, what do you think when it comes to safety in commercial buildings? What comes to mind?
That until I spoke to Roger, I thought it was a really boring topic, quite frankly. But you know what? I think
He's so honest.
It's true.
It's so right.
It's so right. But you know what? I think people take things for granted, and especially in light of some of the press lately. With concerns about safety around condominiums, but what people forget is there's so many other buildings. Yeah. There are commercial buildings and there are hospitals and there's, the issue of safety touches us everywhere. So I'm glad we're taking this topic on.
I agree. So Roger Tickner, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right. So in your words, what does your company exactly do?
We work with all types of different businesses. We work with governments, municipal governments. We work with colleges, universities, builders, owners of facilities, hospital groups.
So pretty much everybody.
So, yeah, pretty much everybody.
Okay.
And we provide health and safety solutions. So we manage projects. We give them the opportunity to understand what they need to do to be in compliance with the legislation for the province. And then if they want, we walk them through and help them achieve the highest level of diligence. And that's really the key word in the province is diligence. Because if you do something wrong, people are going to say, well, why did you do it wrong?
So you must be kind of seen like the bad guy because you go in and make sure regulations are adhered to. But in essence, you're not a government inspector, but you're just making sure that everybody's in compliance. And of course, we're talking about both new projects and major renovations as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are the bad guys to the bad companies.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
So,
yeah.
To the good ones, to the ones that
they
get
love
it.
you.
Yeah, and there's a whole lot of at Build, we have a lot of clients that are Build members, but for the ones that really get it, we're a huge asset to their organization because they're going to build their projects properly, they're going to build them safely, and everybody's going to go home. The ones that don't want, and you got to remember, 90% of the construction business in this province is about 10 to 12 people. So they don't want to spend money. All they want to do is do it as fast as they can and get out and get their money.
And to remind our listeners, of course, Roger, you had mentioned Build. That's the Building Industry and Land Development Association.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's a fantastic organization where the most reputable people that are in this industry for all the right reasons, and they're a very accessible organization as well. So when we're talking about public way protection, when we're talking about protecting the consumers, the customers out there, what do you mean and what do you do?
Well, if you've ever walked beside a building under construction on a sidewalk, it's called public way protection, which means that when you're walking down a street and there's those boards overhead or whatever, that's protecting you from falling objects. That's why the issue with the Gardiner last year and the year before were such huge issues. You got concrete falling off, the Gardiner and falling through cars. People need to be protected. You need to have solutions. I commented on that. I did a bunch of commentaries on what to do with the Gardiner. So public way protection really is the ability of the builder and the responsibility of builders and owners of buildings to make sure that if there's anything that could impact a citizen or a member of the public, that you're protected properly.
I've got a triangular piece of concrete about 6 inches wide framed on my wall because it landed in the back seat of my convertible as I was driving under the Gardiner.
Really?
So I heard a loud thump. I'm going to show it to you. And I called the city and they said, "Are you okay, sir?" And I said, "Well, I wasn't damaged, but wouldn't you want to know that there's a 6-inch piece?" I mean, right. It missed me by what, 6 inches? And a foot? And I wouldn't be here.
In time, if you're going 30 miles an hour, you're doing 44 feet per second. So it missed you by less than a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Oh, that's lucky.
That's the difference.
Yeah. I put a little plaque on it and it said rebirth. Because if I had pressed the gas pedal a little lightly or pressed the brake, I wouldn't be here talking to you guys.
If you had yawned.
If I had yawned. Or
what would I do then without you?
It wouldn't be the same, would it?
It would not be the same. Yeah. How about, Roger, like Kipling? We were talking about that area, and there's also on Yonge Street.
It's back in 2009, Christmas Eve. There was 4 gentlemen. There was actually 5, 6, 7 of them on a swing stage, and one got off, and one was suspended by his harness. They were up 13 floors. The stage collapsed, broke in the middle, and the 4 guys came down and fell to their death. The 5th fell on top of them. And it's just this sad reminder that it takes literally a second for something to happen, but it lasts a lifetime for survivors and people.
So we get the point of how and what, and for those people out there that are listening that, they have loved ones in the construction industry. I mean, it's something that
it's a huge industry in Ontario. People don't realize.
It really is. So let's talk about what you do then in terms of helping to make sure that they stay safe as well as the public.
What we do, the first thing we do, like for a builder or for an owner that's building a hospital or building a building, we'll go in and we'll design safety policies, we'll design safety procedures, we'll say, okay, who are the contractors that you're going to be working with? We set standards for the contractors. Then we do training and education. We make sure that everybody understands. We write an orientation program for the project if it's big enough. If it's a big enough project, we'll actually write an orientation. Everybody coming through has to go through that orientation. And so they have to be trained on what the standards are going to be for this site. So I did years ago, I did a $250 million project over 2.5 years. I threw 156 people off the project for fall protection violations, but all of them just left knowing that they had broken the standards. So it wasn't really the bad guy scenario. It was just simply, hey, I broke the rules. I need to, because you're not going to get hurt, critically injured, or killed on my watch.
Yeah.
So we work with whether it's condominiums doing renovations, and that's huge in this city of Toronto.
Of course it is.
I mean, there's massive amounts of renovation work going on for, roofing and facades and things like that. Tons of renovations. So, and it's surprising, I would say 90% of them have zero safety.
But I guess where the problems may come in is, the foot soldiers, for lack of a better description, because you may have a company that has great intentions, they've got policies and procedures in the way, but at the end of the day, the workers are human and may be remiss, may be lazy, may be distracted, may be tired. And, I don't need to remind you, Aaron, my elbow was broken when I was walking by a construction site, and there was metal that was unmarked. I tripped on it, and I'm not a 19-year-old guy anymore. So when I fell, I broke my arm.
Right.
And, it's stuff like that I think is more and more commonplace. But I guess there's going to be the human component, but it's nice to have all those systems in place.
So how do you make sure that people, even when they own condos, for example, and here's what needs to be done while these construction phases are happening or things are happening, how do you get people to follow? Because they don't tend to do so very well.
Yeah, and it is. And it's a real challenge. But what it is partnering. It's partnering with the group that you're dealing with.
Okay.
So if it's tenants or owners in a condominium, you just say, look, here's what the scenario is, and here's what's going to be happening, and here's the timetable, and here's what you need to do to make sure that it's successful.
All right.
If you don't do that, then we're going to have problems. There could be delays. You mentioned delays to condominium owners or people.
They just think dollars and signs,
They
right?
hate construction. They just started 2 years worth of construction on the Gardner.
Yeah.
And it was day one, and they had 12 accidents before 9 a.m.
Yeah, good point.
Right? So 12 accidents, and so you're going to face 2 years of this.
All right.
So people don't like that. So what we try to do is we try and partner and talk and just make people understand the importance of it. And I always have a saying, I say, look, it's the easy way or the hard way.
Okay,
The easy way is talk to it, and the hard way is you're going to deal with me.
And people behave.
And people behave.
As a result. Now, when we're talking about resale, commercial, and condos, you had mentioned earlier that, with Simon and I, before we came on air, that over 50,000 in renovations, that's kind of on radar for the Ministry of Labor.
Right.
So explain that a little bit more for our listeners.
So once you get under the regulations in the Occupational Health and Safety Act in the province of Ontario, once you're at a threshold of $50,000 or more, you have to file what's called an NOP, or a Notice of Project. You have to file that with the Ministry of Labor, so now they know, okay, you're going to be doing, say, a roofing job for $120,000. Okay. You may or may not see them, but you're on the radar.
All right. Now, explain to us the importance of, I know that you're now a member of BUILD. They're one of our sponsors. That's the Building Industry and Land Development Association. Right. So why is that important to you and your company?
It's a great organization. It gives us the opportunity to, we already have, our clients that are within the membership, but it gives us an opportunity to expand that exposure. It gives us an opportunity to network with some of the top companies in not only Ontario, but in Canada. It gives us the opportunity to take advantage of, seminars or sessions and any of the benefits that go along with BUILD. And we've already done that. We've already done it, and we've saved money off it. So it's
well
worked
said,
out real
Roger.
well.
Yeah. So I have one last final question.
No,
I can't resist. Okay, you ask it.
I got to ask.
Yeah, you ask
because it's radio. It's unfortunate that it's radio, because if you could see, we have a gentleman here who's 6'10" and a half, I'm told.
Oh my God, if I was that tall.
Yeah.
So I'd be dangerous.
I'm playing tonight.
She's dangerous now, so it's good that you're not. But are you the tallest guy in the safety business?
I think I'm the tallest safety professional. So
okay.
I'm not the tallest safety practitioner. I think he works for me as well. He's 7 feet tall. So
Okay.
Oh, you're such a pleasure, Roger. And you know what? Thank you for all that you do. Great educational information. It is important. And more importantly, you're there heading the way. So thank you so much.
Great. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Great having you.
Great. Thank you.